I think it's critical for people to have their own website, use that website as a central hub for information, just so they can showcase all their products and services, still maintain that consistent brand identity across all platforms.
You're listening to the Black to Business Podcast, an educational podcast providing Black entrepreneurs with the tools and resources to start and grow their businesses. We chat with vetted Black entrepreneurs, thought leaders, and business owners as they provide tips and resources to help take your business to the next level. I'm your host, Monique T. Marshall. Hey there, Monique here. And before we dive into today's episode, I wanted to share a bit of my journey with you. As a first-generation entrepreneur, I know what it's like to start from scratch. I didn't have a lineage of past business owners or a community of mentors to guide me through the process. That's why I created Black to Business and the Black to Business Podcast, to provide resources and support for fellow Black entrepreneurs like you. And guess what? I'm not alone in this mission. Harvard Business School Executive Education shares our commitment to developing leaders making a difference in the world. Their renowned faculty members are skilled educators blending real-world experience with a variety of teaching approaches to create an exceptional learning environment. Visit hbs.me/explore to discover the possibilities that HBS has to offer. Are you ready to take your leadership to the next level? Visit hbs.me/explore today. Hey, welcome to the Black to Business Podcast. I'm your host, Monique T. Marshall. And I want to give you a little tough love and let you know that your digital strategy might be wrong. However, if it is, don't worry, we got you, because this is a judgment-free zone. Today on the podcast, we have Nwaozo and Thompson, the dynamic duo behind Apperr, and they're here to drop some gems on how to level up your online presence. They are both committed to revolutionizing technological literacy within the Black community, with a unique perspective on how to achieve your goals through all things digital. We discuss the importance of your website, how to create the best user interface and experience, tips on selecting the right website and domain hosting services, and engagement strategies for both mobile apps and websites. So trust me, this is a judgment-free zone. I wanted to have this conversation on the podcast because I remember those early days of building Black to Business and the first iteration of the website I built myself. And I certainly didn't know what I was doing. I mean, I did think about long term, so that's why I ended up going with the platform I did go with. But I didn't know much about hosting. I didn't know much about user interface and making sure that it was easy for my users. And so that's why I wanted to have this conversation on the podcast. So whether you're a seasoned entrepreneur who is looking to revamp your online presence or someone who's just getting started, this episode has something for you in it. Trust me. By the end of the discussion, you'll be armed with the knowledge and the strategies you need to elevate your brand and stand out in the crowded digital marketplace. Let's dive in. Adam and Tony, welcome to the Black to Business Podcast. Such a treat to have both of you on the show, so welcome.
Thanks for having us.
Yes, glad to be here.
Of course. So before we dive into this conversation all about crafting a powerful online presence for your business, I would like to get my audience familiar with who we're speaking with. So if both of you could just share a little bit about who you are, what is it that you do in your business, and how did you get where you are today?
Yeah, I can go ahead and start off. My name is Nwaozo, founder of Apperr. Apperr is a technology company that focuses on providing digital solutions for small businesses and solo entrepreneurs. How we got here today really is passion for technology, passion for innovation, and then also worked some years in corporate America. So really got to understand how big businesses scale. And we really want to bring that to small businesses and help them scale as well.
Absolutely. My name's Tony Thompson. I'm the co-founder here at Apperr. And as Adam stated here, our vision and why we actually created this company is to really, not only enhance tech literacy in the Black community, but also kind of from an innovational standpoint, helping small businesses, helping entrepreneurs who are just getting started not have to break the bank when it comes down to, hey, getting a digital presence and getting started on software and digital technology. Here at the company, I work pretty much hand in hand and doing a lot of the front end work of speaking to clients, what they're looking for, their vision, and then going from there and passing that off and making sure that we get the technical aspects of their business up and running. So that's a little bit about me and what I do here at Apperr.
Such a powerful introduction, and I love the work that both of you are doing. A few things stand out to me. Like Adam, you mentioned the fact that you really got to understand how big businesses work. And at the Black to Business podcast, on Black to Business, we are really about how do we set our Black-owned businesses up for success. So that's why what you all are doing is so amazing, tech literacy. So I first want to dive into the conversation with first understanding the importance of having an online presence. So you all kind of touched on it. But for you, what defines a strong online presence? How would you say that in your own words?
Gotcha. Defining strong online presence. I could take this one. Really defining a strong online presence is kind of just having great visibility, credibility, as well as engagement across all your digital platforms. To tie into that, we're in an age of social media where more people have social media accounts than they do websites. But I think it's critical for people to have their own website and use that website as a central hub for information, just so they can showcase all their products and services and still maintain that consistent brand identity across all platforms. Because we see now how TikTok is a big social media platform that is now facing persecution that they may be banned. And what if a business is only selling and only running their stuff on TikTok? If TikTok is banned, then now your whole business is shut down, or now your whole business is on a standstill, or now you're going to have to take time to build up an actual e-commerce storefront versus actually setting up that website and using social media to draw people to your website, to collect and own your own data, and really just to be that central hub for all your information there. Tony, I can let you add something on there, Tony, if you think I missed anything.
No, I think you hit it right on the head there.
Yeah, that was a good point. Definitely love that. And I always think about things that you own, like the website is your own real estate. So I love that you mentioned that. Mm-hmm. And of course, this is the Black to Business podcast, and we want to talk about how this specifically relates to Black business owners. So even in your experience of what you all have been able to see working with different clients, if you could stress the importance of having this website, having these things specifically for Black-owned businesses, what would you say?
Yeah, and I'll kind of jump in here, and it really comes down to brand building. So, we want to help those Black businesses grow. There's a few benefits of having a website or a digital presence, is what we like to say, is brand building, marketing tools, being able to have SEO optimization, making sure, hey, if someone goes on to Google, your particular company is first in line, not getting pushed down to the bottom and, someone finds another product or service that you're offering when it could have been you and you probably do it better. Whatever the case, we want to help you there. Customer engagement is huge when it comes to having an online presence. Giving yourself a sales channel, giving your customers an insight into your business, offering that trust and that loyalty. Everyone thinks about the Chick-fil-A's and the McDonald's. We want to offer that to those Black businesses in general. So there's a lot of benefits to really having that online presence, getting their website, and it doesn't have to be just a website. It can be an application. It can be any type of digital presence when it comes to it. There's a lot that really goes into that, and we try to stress that, especially with our Black entrepreneurs as well.
Mm-hmm. I love that. And now I want to get into a little bit more of the technical side, because this is about education as well. Mm-hmm. So really, if someone was listening and we see UI, UX design, I want to first talk about what that is, and then also how it plays a role in enhancing that online presence and user engagement, as you spoke about.
Gotcha. I can start there as well with UI, UX, just with what it means. Ultimately, it's an acronym for user interface, user experience. So the key things on having, I guess, a good user experience, you want your brand to be consistent across all channels, whether it be social media, whether it be your mobile app, whether it be your website. And then you also just want a simple design. Like, you just want a very simple user interface, a nice, clean user interface so people can actually find your products. They're not shuffling through many navigations or shuffling through different pages to kind of get through your product or get to your service. You just kind of want to put it out in front of them. And I just stress the simplest of the design. Just I can mention Apple. When we see Apple products and Apple's websites, everything is just very clean design. So that's how they can charge that premium, and people are willing to pay for that premium because they feel like they're going to get a nice design. We see even the way people interact with the products. I have a 5-year-old niece, and she uses the iPad better than I use an iPad. I know when I was 5, I wasn't able to kind of use an iPad like that, but just the way the user interface, the user design from the clicks and from people knowing to swipe up or swipe left is just very key kind of from your website or your app. You kind of want to make sure that you're putting in a good user design.
I love that. Thank you for breaking that down for us, Adam. And so for those entrepreneurs, you also kind of touched on mobile apps, and it doesn't just have to be a website when you're making this experience. I want to talk about some of the key factors that one should keep in mind to ensure that their presence stands out. So when it comes from if they're doing a mobile app or they're doing a web development services, what are some of those key things that they should keep in mind?
Oh, go ahead, Adam.
I can add on to something there for with mobile and with the web. Other than having a great design, when you're thinking about mobile, you got to think about what is the purpose of your app, because people have to go to an Android store or a Google Play store or an Apple store to download it. So that's one level of friction that you're going to have to put your users through versus you sending them a link and they can easily just click on your website. So before people get into the apps, I always want to know, well, what's your purpose of the app? Can a website solve the problem? Can a web application solve the problem? There's also this newer technology that's called a PWA, which is a progressive web app. And those are web apps that can actually have bookmark icons, I guess, on your mobile screen. So it actually almost imitates an app, and they also leverage some of the phone's native features. But the best part about having an app is like those features, from push notifications to the user's location to even access to their contacts, just more stuff that's on the phone. And then also you're in their pocket 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So once you actually get them to download the app, it's actually a tremendous thing because you're in their pocket, and then they could be using you every day, like how we use like Facebook every day or Instagram every day. So I just always want entrepreneurs to know what's the purpose of the app, to know that getting people to download apps, it's not that easy actually to get people to download apps and keep apps on their phone. So it needs to be a sticky kind of app idea. But I'll bring it to you, Tony, to kind of to finish that off.
Yeah, and I'll say there's a few other things to think about as well. You know, not only what type of design or what type of app that kind of understand, but also thinking about the back end, you know, like security, scalability. You know, you don't want something, hey, this is the end all be all, and I have to rip and replace the entire software that I built because I didn't plan to scale my business. And that's things that we try to help with is, hey, we want to ensure that not only are we building for that short term, but we're also building for the long term. So there's a lot of things that entrepreneurs need to think about of like, hey, you may just be selling a bicycle today or whatever the case, but in the future, you may be selling 10 to 12 other items as you continue to grow. Let's make sure that we're accommodating for that scalability. Let's make sure that we're providing that security so that not only your data is safe, but also your customers feel that safety net as well. And you can build that trust and have those repeat customers, because we've seen it to where, hey, you went to a gas station or whatever the case may be, and they've taken your card information. You may never go back there ever again. Those are the type of things we want to make sure that, you know, you're building that trust with your clientele to know, hey, your data is safe with me, your security is safe with me as well.
That is so good, because that was definitely my next question is you all are helping people with not just this digital online presence with the pretty things, but then also make sure that they have these secure domains, hosting and security services, so that, like you mentioned, Tony, they can build that trust and credibility. So that's so good. I do want to expound on that just a little bit more to make it its own, is the importance of leveraging those secure domains and hostings, and how this is sometimes something that people aren't thinking about in the beginning, and the importance of doing so.
Gotcha. Yeah, definitely having secure domains. If you have a website, it's kind of the standard now in 2024. Having that little green lock on the URL bar that says HTTPS, especially when we're transacting with money. We're definitely going to want to always have a secure domain there. And even when we're just collecting data, whether it be PII data, the personally identified data, or HIPAA data, it could be a medical company that they're passing medical data. We want to make sure all that data is secure. Even from random bots, we know that most website visits aren't actually humans. They're just random bots that scrape websites or buy up all the Beyonce tickets and resell them at super high prices for us. But yeah, we definitely want to protect ourselves from those bots and put like recaptures on our data form. So we're not just getting spam data, we're actually getting real human data. So that's another level of security that you want to provide online as well. Another thing that is huge, and maybe not a small business website, but probably more so with government websites and key infrastructure websites, is just they can face DDoS attacks. And those are pretty much when some kind of robot is requesting your website a bunch of times and then it doesn't load. Like, we want to make sure that we're looking out for that. So you may say, hey, I have like 10,000 people coming to my website, but you're a small business. Should you really have the infrastructure for 10,000? Like, why are 10,000 people visiting your website? And then that's how, when we look at the data, we look at the analytics and we figure out, okay, well, this is a bot attack or a DOS attack, and they're trying to take down our website. So we typically look at those things. Like I said, small businesses may not experience these attacks a lot. More in like government websites will kind of experience these attacks more. Like hospital websites will experience these attacks more. So that's another thing that we tend to look out for our businesses and our clients. And the last thing is more so in the United States, we don't have too many compliance and regulations around like data protection and things like that, except like in Canada. But on a global scale, we know we have this regulation called GDPR. We have to actually tell people that we're cooking you, tell people that we're collecting this specific data about you. And then for processing that data, it's a little bit more that you have to tie into there. So I see regulations like that coming to the United States for sure in the future, but like business is global. So we know that we want to prepare people's websites for global business. And if we're doing business in Europe, for example, those websites have to be GDPR compliant. So that's just something that we technically have to deal with, a bunch of privacy rights and things like that.
Mm-hmm. Tony, you wanted to add anything?
And no, the only last thing I was going to say on that point is like also just reducing the risk that it comes down to. Like, we want to try to help, entrepreneurs reduce the risk. So if that means not building out some full custom where now we have to go and build the security, things like that, like, are you going to do an integration to a Shopify or another site that's, already up and coming, already has the infrastructure in place, but also making sure you're not going into a third party that doesn't have that infrastructure in place. So finding ways to reduce those risks, try to build that trust, not only with, partnering with someone else, but also with your clientele as well. So other than that, everything Adam stated there is all things that you want to be aware of when it comes to security. And it's not something that entrepreneurs usually want to worry about, like we're saying. And we try to help, mitigate a lot of that risk and making sure that we're not only educating, but saying, hey, we have you covered here, and then you can do what makes you special. You want to worry about your business, and we want you to do that, but we also want you to know, hey, these things are out there.
Right. I love that. And Adam, one of the things you spoke about is cookies. So if we like to break it down on the Black Business Podcast. So if someone is like, why am I accepting all these cookies? I'm on a diet. Like, what does this mean?
Yeah, cookies. Cookies are a program that's like installed on your browser. And really, ultimately, what it's there to do is to track you. Whether track your where you click on, or how we search for like PS5 and then we go to Instagram and we just keep having a bunch of PlayStation 5 ads to us, and we just think that Facebook knows what we want, but no, they're just retargeting us through the cookies on our browser, where they take our search history and they're able to track us that way. We use cookies in a way to track website traffic as well, so we can know different visitors. But there's many different uses for cookies, but at the end of the day, they're used to track you.
And so speaking of, like we talked about the security and the hosting and things like that, I want to talk about specific considerations or recommendations that you all might have for small business owners when they are beginning to select these domains or these hosts and security services to support their businesses online. What advice would you have there?
Yeah, selecting domains for sure. I love to stay away from the .nets and always go to the .coms or like these newer domains. I like a .ai. I know GoDaddy came out with their .ai, so AI is big. So I love those newer extensions because they're really good for marketing. If you're a good marketer, you can kind of market that. But domains always should be catchy, very easy for people to remember, and just very easy for people to type in. So I think that's a key consideration for your domain. And then always just remember where you registered your domain from. We deal with clients so often that say, oh, I had a domain, I purchased it, but I don't remember where it is. And then maybe they didn't renew it. And then maybe somebody snuck up and purchased it from under them, and now they're out of a domain for their business. So I just always remember, like, it's kind of like your social security card or something, or your birth certificate. Like, yeah, put it in the safe. Just know where it's at. You always need to know where it's registered at, whether it be Apperr Cloud or GoDaddy or Google Domains or Squarespace. Somebody is hosting a domain. Just because the way domains are set up through the ICANN organization, you actually never really get to own that domain. You're just kind of renting it for the rest of your life. And if that's kind of makes sense, but you're always paying for it, whether it's annually or 10 years in advance or however it is, you just are able to register to your name. So I would just think of it as like, this is something I'm renting or leasing from the registrars.
Mm-hmm. We've discussed all the importance of the online presence and then also the security and the hosting. And I want to talk about the importance of investing in reliable hosting and security solutions to protect your business, because sometimes it's not cheap. So I know both of you spoke about long-term success and thinking long-term. So can you talk about some of the investment that goes into this and why people want to invest in making sure that they have the right things for their business when it comes to hosting and security solutions?
I can talk on that as well. With hosting and picking a host provider, I feel like it's with that, I would consider two things. I would consider, I guess, where my domain is as well, because I can probably host my site with them too. So it's kind of that one-stop shop. You can just get your hosting and domain in one place. Or I would kind of think about affordability. Like, how do I want to build my website? Do I just want like a front end, which is just like static landing pages, something that you kind of would build with Wix or build with Squarespace? Or do I want something that does a little bit of business process, does a little bit of automation? So I'm like having to build out this API, and APIs are kind of just application programming interface. And that's just when you have like a backend server that's either collecting the information and then processing it. When people have to like sign up for a website, when you have to create username and password and do like the forgot password, like those are all like programs that are living on the server that the developer will program initially. With us, we typically like to host our APIs on AWS. There's pretty much 4 big cloud providers: AWS, which is Amazon Web Server, Microsoft Azure, Google Cloud Platform, and then like IBM and Oracle will probably be like the last ones that kind of have public cloud. So I would think about that. Like, how scalable, how powerful do I want my website? Do I want just a couple of landing pages? I could think that, okay, maybe Squarespace might solve that. They may give me a website builder, they may host it, they may give me my domain, and that may be good enough for me for my online presence. But then maybe I want to scale up, and then maybe I want a couple of landing pages. I'll host those landing pages for free on Netlify. And then maybe I want a robust back end. Now I want to be able to build a big site, like maybe like Facebook, maybe have people create user accounts and have a feed and post and things like that. I'm going to need a server to kind of do all that. So maybe I host my front end on Netlify and then put my back end on AWS. So I kind of would just kind of think on how big and how robust do you want your site? Then I would kind of consider it from that way.
Yeah. And you definitely want to, truly invest in a reliable hosting and security solution, no matter what you're doing on your digital network. It's a strong commitment. Sometimes it costs a little bit up front. We try to give you different options, but at the end of the day, kind of prioritizing that reliable hosting and security solution, it's a big piece of a small business to help them thrive, but also, maintain their competitiveness. It could be the difference between someone going with you and going with someone else. It's just who has a more reliable hosting and security type solution back in, or just, from a digital presence standpoint. So investing in it's a paramount. It's on the top of the list for every small business, for sure.
Yes. I love it. And I must say, so far, I've learned so much, so many acronyms. I'm over here like jotting it down. Like this is why it's important for you all to continue to do the work that you're doing. And it brings me to my next point that we spoke about earlier in the conversation, just about the importance of the work that you all are doing in terms of enhancing tech literacy in the Black business community. And I want to kind of take a step back and talk about the importance of this in this education around tech and training and community initiatives, and really about why you all saw the importance of this and why it's like the forefront of your business.
Yeah. And I'll kind of start off, and then I'll let Adam finish this one as well, because this one's a pretty meaningful one to me, because I always like to get into Adam as well. But we wanted to give back. We wanted to find a way, not only the youth, but entrepreneurs today, even, ones that have been around for the last 15, 20 years, education, training, community initiatives, really helping empower those entrepreneurs by providing them essential skills, the knowledge of how to create a website development or how to go into digital marketing. How do we get into this online branding, marketing space? These initiatives, they're going to offer that guidance, resourcing, networking events, just really trying to help them reach their target audience, giving them that online presence and, providing the education or training, or just, if it's a networking event, just letting them know even things like this where we can say, hey, these are things that you need to be thinking about. This is free game, as you would like to say, that we can offer to you. And then now that you're thinking about it, now let's help scale your business there. So,
yeah.
Yes, most definitely. That's a great topics there to touch on there, Tony. This really ties back to kind of our initiative with Apperr, with creating In Black Tech We Trust. It's more of a movement that we're trying to foster everybody just to really understand technology, not just Google, we trust you, what you're building, OpenAI, we trust what you're building. Just for, even if we're going to use it, even if we're going to trust it, we need to understand it to see what are they doing with their data. Like, why is all your services free? Like, if something's free, then we're the product. So we have to really understand that point. And then we have to understand to use it. Tech is huge. Like, we're seeing people easily making six figures on tech jobs. So we want people that look like us. We want you to learn how to use Salesforce. We want you to learn how to use NetSuite and then go work for a Fortune 500 company and let them pay you six figures. We want you to be able to learn how to use low code tools, because sometimes just when people see code, that kind of discourages them or turns them away from tech, and they think they can't do it, even though they can do it. But now it's with AI, you can write prompts that can write the code for you. Or with low code has been out for decades. When we first started Apperr, we were using nothing but low code tools. Now we're able to use a combination of low code tools, offshoring, nearshoring, AI to do our code. We're so clever and witty with it. When people say, okay, well, this is their budget. Okay, well, if this is your budget, we can't hire a full dev team. Okay, but we can use this no code solution and it can build you out what you need to run your business successfully. So we want to empower small businesses to know that these things exist. We also want to empower people that look like us to say, hey, I can build this digital solution and go get a job at Google or at IBM or at Oracle and be able to make a nice salary and change the wealth gap for my family. Like, I think tech literacy, it's huge for people to learn how technology works. Because we see, even in the Disney movies like Black Panther, we see like Wakanda and we get excited. We know that we could build all that. So I just think, and I just want our community to really, really focus on technology.
I love that. And I love how you all mentioned the fact that it doesn't have to be intimidating. It can be simple. And so I know we kind of touched on this a little bit, but someone who's listening and they're like, I know this thing that I have in my head I want to build, but I just feel like it's going to be so complex to build this mobile app to get my target audience to pay attention. And what advice would you say to someone is saying, like, just get the MVP, just get something simple started?
Yeah. That's you hit it right there. The words MVP, minimum viable product. That's what all entrepreneurs, solopreneurs, business owners, they should all start there. You start with your minimum viable product. You're like, okay, well, these are the core features that I need to get this application or to get this website or whatever it is launched. And then once you're able to do that, you can get to market quickly. And then you can start getting that customer feedback that's really going to move your products. We have some micro SaaSes that are coming out later this year that we're working with some clients and we're helping them with their MVP. Like, everyone has a long laundry list of, I want to do this, or I want to do that, or they just go to sleep and wake up and then somebody comes out with something and like, oh, well, I want this in it too. So that's when we just try to help them align and prevent feature creep and then say, hey, let's just get this MVP out there. We'll make like a little list of all these features that you want on there, but really we need the MVP out there. And then from then on, that's when you can iterate on that MVP and start adding in those features.
Yeah. I want people to think about the MVP as like the foundation of your business, in a sense of hey, you can't build a house without the foundation. You can't go and do all the features, windows, doors, unless you've had that foundation. And that MVP is that foundation, which is now going to allow you to run your business. Hey, this foundation is my payment processor. It's my products. It's a clean security for anyone to go there, and it's giving me a digital presence, giving me a brand. It's giving me something that people can see. And then as they continue on, now we're phasing things out. Phase 1.5, phase 2. Now we're adding new features, adding new rollouts, adding new software development. And it's not only bringing customers back, but it's keeping costs low. You're seeing the ROI on that MVP, on that product. We're not, going out and doing $100,000 project to start. And then now you're kind of trying to figure out how you're going to pay that as well as run your business. Let's kind of piece that together, go at a phased approach. So exactly what Adam is stating there, building that foundational piece.
I love that. And, you all have worked with many clients, so I'm sure you've seen people build it wrong. So I do want to touch on the issue with building things the wrong way and just trying to do it full out and not even knowing who's going to be attracted to your product. So talk about some examples you've seen in some of those transformative stories that you all have been able to make with people who may have started wrong.
I've started wrong plenty of times. So like sometimes I do commend people that just start, because sometimes you get analysis by paralysis, or it's a paralysis by analysis, because you just keep overthinking things. So it's a tough one for me, because I'm definitely one to just push people out just to take that leap. But sometimes you incur technical debt that it's just, okay, well, you built something the wrong way, or you built a low-code solution, and then let's say a low-code solution only can sustain 1,000 users. But let's say now you have 10,000 users. Okay, now there's a problem. You know what I mean? We didn't build it for scale. So that's kind of the main problem is the technical debt that you may occur, which is not the end of the world. You can always come back from it once you have your users. But then also you really are just not going to build for scale, because maybe you don't think your idea can get that big, and it just got big quick, because we're not I always say this, we're not like in a linear time anymore. Sometimes things are just exponential. So yeah, you can just run into the fact that you just may not build your solution scalable. Problem.
Yeah, and I was going to say, like, we come across this a lot in our industry is, when you start to not only try to rush a process, but you try to build it to overload, you come with the quality compromises. So you've tried to rush this development process to get it out in a month, and now you're having an issue with, bugging and errors. You didn't get to do the data testing. Then your scope, kind of increases. So now not only do you have quality issues, but now you have pricing issues, because we've had to increase the scope, and you've had to add more resources, and then it's a lack of planning. So everything kind of just goes back to, hey, MVP, starting small, phase things in. We don't want to resource overload only on the tech side, as well as resource overload your team, because we're going to need information from you. And you have a day-to-day job as an entrepreneur that never ends 24/7. We don't want to take that time away from you doing your day. So the planning of it, being able to scale, making sure that we're not doing any type of scope creeping is what we like to call it. Rather, be the Cadillac rather than building out, something of a cheaper brand on that side. We want to make sure that quality is good and that your user experience is good, rather than just, hey, I have something and it looks really fancy, but it's not working properly.
And one of the things I also want to touch on is accessibility. So making sure that your website is up to code and all of those things that are now, most people weren't talking about a couple of years ago, but now it's a thing. Like I've heard like people getting sued because their websites aren't accessible to certain communities or things like that. So I want to talk about that if you all could.
Yeah, with accessibility, that's a key thing. There's some products out there, I'm forgetting the name of it, that actually provides like a script that kind of covers those ADA compliant things, and people that are visually impaired to kind of add contrast to your website. Also, I read this somewhere that when they first rolled out dark mode, that was kind of supposed to be the thing for accessibility as well. But I think that was just a cool thing somebody did. But there's like visually impaired people that can still see, but they just have trouble seeing with the light background. They need like a darker background. Also magnifying things. So we do definitely try to tie into those as well. Like I said, though, if you're in the healthcare space, financial space, and also in the doing business globally, that's really where you have to really pay attention to all these compliance things, because that's kind of what you're saying, where you can get sued and things like that for not having your website up to standard or not having the correct privacy policies in place.
Yeah, even different accessibility when it comes down to culture or ethnicities, or even different communities these days. As you know, we're in a world now where accessibility and what people are thinking and mental health and things like that are really at the forefront. And you have to give someone or some version on your software for everyone to be included. When you don't have that as a business owner, which you don't have to have, of course, you have your own views, but you want to at least you want to be successful, especially now, giving that option, making sure that everyone's feeling included, not taking anyone out of the spectrum. But as long as your software has that ability, or your optics has that ability to make sure that, if you have a disability, you're of a certain culture, you're of a certain whatever, you have that ability to make sure, hey, you're invited here. We have a software that accommodates for everyone. We're making something for just about everyone.
Definitely. Well, I must say this has been phenomenal, and I definitely have learned so much from this conversation. I'm pretty sure people who are listening have as well. And I want to talk about the work that you both are doing at Apperr Designs, and speaking to, if someone is interested in working with you all, kind of how you all are helping entrepreneurs and business owners elevate their digital presence. So maybe talking about your offers and going into your services.
Gotcha. Yeah, I can start it off. Really, our main offers, we make apps, we make websites, businesses. Pretty much what we're doing is we're looking to help businesses scale using technology. So we offer managed website services. Typically, if we build the website, we want to manage the website. So we want to help you build that website and manage that website, help you grow that website. Another area that we're focused on is micro SaaSes. SaaS stands for software as a service, and then micro is just in front of it because typically they're about under $1 million in revenue. I think that's kind of the only thing that takes away from micro, the word micro on there. But we want to help solo entrepreneurs or other entrepreneurs build these softwares, and we want to partner with them and build these softwares too, and help them out. And then usually these softwares are ultimately going to help small businesses grow as well. One project we're working on that is a micro SaaS is actually a booking software similar to Calendly or similar to Acuity or something like that, but it's going to be Black owned. It's going to be exclusive to the fitness industry. So it's going to be more of a niche kind of product. So we have another one, like a learning management software that's going to come out as well. That's kind of similar to like Kajabi and those kind of Teachable, I think it was called, like those course creators. So we're coming out with like the SaaS products that you've seen. We're going to try to keep them Black owned, of course. And then also we want to help our businesses that we currently service provide these software. So if you're using Acuity and we come out with the software and it's better, we're going to have better price points. We're going to have better features on there. So we would, of course, want our customers to eventually come over and use our products as well.
Love that. And if I'm not mistaken, you all also do templates?
Yeah, we definitely actually have website templates that we build out. We currently have, I don't know, about like 14 of them. We will kind of get new ones every month. And those templates, we want our customers to choose from them, or eventually we'll sell them individually, and then we'll actually help you host that template for free on this service called Netlify, which is kind of a free host in a way. So that's a way that if you're kind of tech savvy a little bit, that you can do a little bit, you can easily update that template and put it on your own host and kind of manage it yourself a little bit, all for free. So that's kind of things that we do offer. In the future, we want to offer more of the training stuff. And that's kind of where in Black Tech We Trust comes in, offering those training classes and those cohorts so people can learn how to use technology or learn how to use enterprise applications.
I love that. And what would you say, Tony, did you want to add anything?
Oh, no, I really was just saying kind of in part of that, in Black Tech We Trust, not only are we helping entrepreneurs, but we're helping the younger community as well as, empowering through no code type learning, how to get into tech, how, where to start, maybe you're a kid in middle school, a kid in high school don't know where you need to go. You can come to us. We're having different cohorts and kind of community centric learning is what we like to say. We want to celebrate diversity. We want to make sure, hey, we're hiring global talent as well. We have talent in Africa, in Spain, things like that. So we want to kind of bring in a bunch of different diversities to get in tech. It's really what we're trying to push that initiative to make sure not only are we helping smaller businesses, but we're helping the next, 20 to 30 year smaller individuals that are now trying to get into tech as well.
I love that. And what would you say are the benefits of outsourcing these things versus possibly someone just trying to do it themselves? Or at what point to outsource?
Great question there. I can start it off. I know when Tony, we did some research on this about small businesses, the percentage, I think, of small businesses that actually outsourced their technology services. And I want to say it was like less than 3% or less than 5%. It was a very small number of small businesses that actually outsourced it. And I think 36% of them did it themselves, I think. And I want to say the rest of them, small businesses, just don't have digital presence or online presence at all. I want to say those are the numbers. I can probably look those up again. But the important for a business to actually outsource is because if I'm a bread shop or a bakery or any kind of business, like my expertise is not coding or building a website or building an app. My expertise is making bread. So I should be focusing on making bread. Just like us, like our main focus is software. We're good at software. We're not good at bookkeeping. I have to outsource bookkeeping, you know what I mean? Because that's not what we do. We focus on what we do, and we're able to spend more of our time on what we're better at. So I think that's really a good key to have people focus on what you're good at, and then delegate what you're not so good at. Just find a provider that you trust, which is a key thing there.
Yeah, you have that access to the expertise is what we like to say. Like you have access to someone that this is all they do and they do it very well, but also helps you from a cost savings. You know, we've seen a lot where businesses, they'll say, instead of us outsourcing, maybe I'll just hire a full-time employee. Well, now you have to hire a full-time employee with benefits, the equipment for them. Does it make sense for you to just outsource that now and say, hey, I could probably save 40% of my business, and now I don't even have to hire anyone, but I have someone that's doing all the work for me, and I can still continue to focus on what my core competencies are as well. So, you know, it gives you some flexibility, some scalability as well. Reduces your risk. Again, you're not worried about your, a full-time employee doing it yourself. So as Adam stated, I mean, it's all just doing what you do best and then allowing others to do what they do best. And if it makes sense for your business, outsourcing is usually the way to go. And it's what we see, I think, 75% of the time as well.
Yeah. Like Adam said, literally focus on making bread.
Yes.
We heard you. Bread. Love that. So for both of you, I want to kind of talk more into your journey into entrepreneurship, and especially for those who are listening, maybe someone is in their first year of business. What advice would you give to them, and kind of speak to how you've learned throughout your first few years?
I'm going to take this one first. Really, with me so far, it's been about being a sponge, trying to soak up all the knowledge from everybody, go to networking events, try to network with people, determination, and just not trying to stop, being persistent at things, because people are going to say no a lot. But then I've had so many people, it's like, I tell this to Tony all the time. It's like, oh, this person I wrote out this SOW, or I hit them up and they haven't hit me back. I'm like, don't worry, they're going to hit us when they're ready. And then it just happens. So be it 4 months down the line, they're ready. You know what I mean? Or whenever they're ready. So like, I've always been the one not to try to force things on people and just tell people what I offer. And then whenever you're ready, I'm going to be here. The price might not be the same, but hey, that's all. Just really having that faith that my product and my service, what I'm offering is a good product, good service. Also, focusing on improving the products and service. So it's the best version of myself. I'm constantly going to keep on improving myself to get the best version of myself. So we want to constantly keep improving our product and service. So it's the best version, but then just being ready when they're ready, because they may not be ready when I'm ready. So just stay ready. And then also just keep planting seeds and watering those seeds. I think it's a good thing for entrepreneurs to do.
Yeah. And I think Adam really hit the nail on the head there. I mean, focusing, when it comes to me, is like focus on value creation, focus on building a strong network, continue to learn, continue to grow. Don't feel like you know everything. There's always, something for you to learn. And that kind of falls into, embrace the innovation, embrace, adapting to the new culture. Rather, if that's, hey, a lot of people were scared of AI. Don't be afraid of AI. Embrace AI. Use AI to help you on your day-to-day life, your business, embrace that and figure out how you can bring value using AI to your customer base now, and that's really what it comes down to, is focusing on your customers, focus on bringing value, maintain a good work-life balance. I feel like that's huge. You can feel a big burnout when it comes out to be an entrepreneur. If it's, hey, on Saturdays, I'm not doing any work. If you're one of those type of businesses that can allow that, pick a day or pick a few hours or, half a day to worry about yourself. That way you're not feeling burnt out, because you're doing this because you love it, most likely. You're wanting to run your own business. You're wanting that time, truly, have that, find some time to give back to the community, make it valuable to you to now, hey, on the inside, now I'm also giving back, but I'm also doing what I love as well. So those are some of the, I guess, things that I like to focus on being an entrepreneur. And some of the things that I've learned is, hey, give back, have a good work-life balance, and then just do what you love.
Mm-hmm.
Powerful advice. And my final question is, what does it mean to you to be Black in business?
Good question. What does it mean to me to be Black in business? Definitely excellent, for sure. Black excellency. So I always try to polish myself to be very on point when I talk about business, when I represent business. That's one, to be Black in business. Also, I feel like this Black in business, there's a little swagger to it. I say this to when we started in Black Tech We Trust, like, we're a software company. We're making software, we're making websites, we're helping people with process automation. And then we just had an idea for, in Black Tech We Trust, we're like, hey, let's make it like merchandise, make like fashion. Black people, we love fashion. So, and that's been a big hit. That's been a big marketing piece for us, being able to offer merchandise, hoodies and t-shirts and mugs, just in Black Tech We Trust. Just the simple design that we came up with, the nice fabric, and saw people always like, this is nice. And I was like, that's just another thing to be Black. Just have a little swagger with your business, have a little swagger with yourself. So that's what I think it is to be Black in business, to be excellent and just to put a little swagger on it.
Yeah, absolutely. And when it comes for me, I mean, being a Black entrepreneur, it involves, navigating that systematic barriers or, unequal access to resources. And I feel like being a Black entrepreneur, or being Black in business, or being Black in this industry, you're confronting challenges, you're seizing those different opportunities, you're making a positive impact, on our culture and our identity as well. And that's why you see so many, really, I should say, corporate America, or kind of Fortune 500, Fortune 100 businesses that are now including, equity and inclusion into their business landscape, because now we bring in a different vision, we're bringing a different way of how we see things. And it's really helping them not only seize their opportunities, but it's empowering kind of the future generations, as well as, advancement in whatever kind of product or service they're offering as well. So that's what that means to me, breaking down some barriers. I feel like we always seize the opportunity, and we can do exactly what anyone else can do, no matter what people may think. There's a lot of brown, purple, Black, tan colored individuals out there that can do exactly what other individuals can as well. So as long as they know that.
Perfectly said. Well, Adam and Tony, this has been amazing. And thank you all so much for pouring into my audience. And then also, I've learned so much, so many acronyms and learning and defining things. I love that. People are going to want to know, how can they find you all, connect with you all, and support with you all. So please do share.
Oh, yeah. First, you can definitely visit apperr.com. That's kind of our website where you can find about all our products and services. Apperr Design on Instagram, and also in blacktechwetrust.com and in Black Tech We Trust on Instagram, kind of for all things tech literacy.
Yeah. And there's also new merch coming out in Black Tech We Trust. There's shirts, there's hoodies coming out. So if anyone ever wants to kind of support in that way as well, pretty nice merchandise that you can purchase and get the word out.
Yes, we love that. And we will definitely put all of these things in the show notes. Again, thank you all so much for being on the Black to Business podcast and continue to do the work that you all are doing, necessary work. So thank you again for being on the show.
Oh,
Thanks
thank
for
you for
having
having us. Absolutely.
What an amazing, insightful conversation. I hope you were taking notes, because I surely was. I mean, I could have filled a dictionary with all of those terms and acronyms. I learned so much, and how they really broke it down. I think I love the fact that education is really first, and it's just a reminder of what we do on the podcast and why we do what we do. So shout out to the Apperr team, Tony and Adam, for being on the show, and also for sharing their knowledge and really breaking down the back end of digital infrastructure that we often hear about but aren't really familiar with. So shout out to our guest today. Now, before we wrap up, I want to encourage you to follow Adam's advice. Don't get paralysis by analysis. Get started on your idea. Take that leap today. So for more information about Apperr, visit blacktobusiness.com/194. Until next time, keep innovating, keep pushing boundaries, and keep pushing the culture forward. Later.